So obviously we are awaiting the press briefing at 1 o'clock, but we're also waiting and watching President Trump's next move. Will the U.S. enter the conflict? Pleased to bring in right now former senior advisor for the Trump transition team and the Trump 2024 campaign, good friend of the program, Jason Miller. Jason, welcome in. Good to have you with us today.
Thank you, Bianca.
So obviously there's speculation. There was a Wall Street Journal report, which the president today refuted, saying the Wall Street Journal has no idea what my thoughts are concerning Iran. Unpredictable. President Trump sort of has been saying he would wait till the very last second. You know him so well, Jason. Share your thoughts on where you think he is today with our viewers. We know there's a lot of huddling, intelligence sharing, and things could change in a moment.
They really can. I think it's important to take a step back and remember where President Trump is coming from in this process. Keep in mind that his uncle was a nuclear scientist, someone who told the president about the dangers of nuclear war even when he was young, when he was in his teen years. So this is something the president's spoken out about for years and years. He wants to make sure that Iran cannot develop a nuclear program. So as the president is looking at this situation right now, number one, he's getting the intelligence about where they actually are in the process. Number two, he's taking a look at what the Israelis have already done. Number three, what is it that the president could do with U.S. armed forces to impact that? And then a decision will be made. So everything starts and stops with how do we make sure that Iran never has the nukes? Because as you saw Prime Minister Netanyahu say, that's exactly something that Iran would use. And it's only a matter of time. Iran will tell you over and over that they're not going to do it. They want to sit down at the table. They just want to talk until it's too late.
Yeah, and it might be too late, but we will watch things very closely. I know there's been some questions about Tulsi Gabbard and some comments she made about what is happening. And June 10th, she posted a video, Jason, and suggesting that political elite, warmongers, it seems that there was some unhappiness. Even President Trump had voiced concerns about this. Why do you think she posted something like that?
Well, I think also taking a look here that both Tulsi and the president are on the exact same page. They're both saying that Iran is moving at breakneck pace to try to develop or try to enrich uranium needed for nuclear weapons. I think the director of DNI had some comments with regard to where in that process they might be then on the delivery mechanism of that. But also, I think she's very much reflecting the president's position that we do not want to get pulled into a third Gulf War, that we do not want to have another situation where this is the U.S. having to go in, and there are far too many people in Washington. You know them, I know them, everybody knows them. They want to have boots on the ground. They want to have regime change. They want to have the third Gulf War. They want nothing more than the U.S. to be embroiled in this. And I think Tulsi was really speaking to the fact that that is not what President Trump is about. President Trump is about making sure Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. So I think in Washington, too often there's this kind of false binary construct where it's either, well, you have to go all interventionist and have boots on the ground and all these things, or you do nothing. That's not the case. What President Trump wants to do is stop them from getting the nuclear weapon.
Okay, so and obviously Congress is trying to limit some of his ability to do that, but this would be just an airstrike and not boots on the ground. I mean, talk about that. The Massey and some other Democrats are trying to move forward on that proposal next week, Jason.
Yeah, and that's where I think we have to, this is the reason why President Trump received 77.3 million votes and 312 electoral votes and won with such an overwhelming show of support in the election this last fall. We have to trust in our commander-in-chief. And we saw in his first 4 years in office, President Trump kept us out of all new wars. There's an important point here that sometimes with the peace through strength, sometimes you have to show a little strength to avoid having to get into a war, because in a certain case, we don't take care of it now, could be something later. But if there's one person who can stop us from being embroiled in a war, it's President Trump.
A lot of Americans feel that and have the confidence in him. And then there's also, you know, Obama, who could forget, sends $400 million in cash over to Iran on a plane. It ends up being $1.7 billion. I mean, that ended up being taxpayer money, Jason, not frozen money. And he's out on the speaking circuit. And I just want to play a little bit of this very strange exchange he gave on a stage about progressives.
If you were relatively privileged to have been grown up in the United States of America during this period, You could be as progressive and socially conscious as you wanted, and you did not have to pay a price. You could still make a lot of money. You could still hang out in, Aspen and Milan and travel and have a house in the Hamptons and still think of yourself as a progressive.
I don't think most Americans are hanging out in Aspen and Milan, and to the point, going back of how much cash he sent over to Iran. It's incredible that these comments are being made and no one's calling any attention to them.
Well, you're exactly right. And to paraphrase President Trump, I don't know what President Obama said right there. I don't think President Obama knows what President Obama said just there. I mean, those are such idiotic comments. It shows just complete disconnect from reality. But again, this is also why Democrats, why they lost so badly in the fall, why they failed to put up any real opposition to President Trump, because they're just completely rudderless. I mean, right now, really, AOC and David Hogg, I think, are really probably the leaders of the Democrat Party. Well, and also J.B. Pritzker and some other beauties that are out there. Right. But right now, these are serious times. I mean, right now, we have people who are being killed in the Middle East. We have people in Israel, innocent people in Israel who are being targeted by the Iranians. And this is some real serious matters that we're dealing with here. And so I wish former President Obama would, just stick with the Netflix deal. You guys are making enough money. Hang out on the beach. Enjoy retirement. But you don't need to be sticking your nose into this. Yeah.
Incredible. Just one final clip here where Whoopi Goldberg compares the U.S. to living in Iran. Another alternate reality here. Let's play this and get your reaction on the flip side.
And it's slow.
But let's just remember, too, the Iranians literally throw gay people off of buildings. They don't adhere to basic human rights.
Listen, here's the thing. Let's not do that, because if we start with that, we have been known in this country to tie gay folks to the car.
Where the Iranian regime is today in 2025 is nothing compared to the United States.
Keep hanging black people.
I think it's important we remember there are places much darker than this country and people who deserve rights.
Not everybody feels that way.
Not everybody feels that way. Maybe she's speaking just for her audience of one, Jason. Your final thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know what? I think a lot of people, a lot of the viewers here would probably, the knee-jerk reaction would be to dunk on Whoopi and say that, she's an idiot. Why is she doing this? I think she's actually doing this on purpose to try to drive up ratings for her failing show. She knows this will become a social media clip. This will remind people that The View even exists, because quite frankly, no one normally even watches it anymore. So I think this might be some 3D chess coming from Whoopi Goldberg and the rest of the clowns at The View.